Once you have a good understanding of playing in the key of C major, which is all of the white keys from C to C, we can start adding in some other keys. So today we're going to talk about the key of G major, which has one sharp, and its relative minor key, which is E minor. Once you understand the scale, the key, and which keys to avoid on the piano, you will be able to easily make up melodies in two different keys. So come with me to the piano and I'll show you exactly what to do. The first key that we started talking about was the key of C major. C major goes between C and is only white notes. But now we're going to talk about a new key, which is the key of G. So for this scale, we're going to start with a G instead of with a C. A G comes between these three black notes, is right here. That is a G. So if you're not familiar with the notes of the piano, I would go through and just play all the G's so that you see the patterns. So for the key of G, the one note that I want you to remember is an F. Okay, when you get to an F, I call this the lava note. It's like the floor is lava, you don't touch that note. So instead of playing an F, we're going to play the black note that's right next to the F here. This is called an F sharp. What a sharp means is that you are, instead of playing the note that is on the piano, you're moving one note to the right of the piano. And that means that a sharp is black or it is white, depending on what note it is. So for this note, the very next note next to F is a black note. So what we're going to do is we're going to play all white notes except for the F. Instead of the F, we'll play the F sharp and we'll go from G to G. So using just one finger, I'm going to show you the key of G scale. Skip the F, go to the F sharp, and going back down. So that way, when you go to play any melody in the key of G, you're going to always skip the F. If you end up playing the F, it's going to sound funny. Listen to how it sounds if I actually play the F instead of the F sharp. That sounds kind of off, doesn't it? So instead, we play the F sharp. So a melody, let's do a melody with our right hand starting here. We're going to start with a G and end with a G, so it sounds like our melody has a place to come home. So let's make something up, and we're going to include an F sharp in our little melody. So you can come up with any melody in your right hand that is on a G, starting with a G and ending with a G. For your left hand, I'll start down here because I think it sounds better, lower. Start with a G chord. Then we're going to a C chord, but with a G in the bass. So your two finger is already here on C, and your 5 finger is on G. But we're going to move our thumb up to E. So you're going to feel the difference of going from a G chord to a C chord, G chord to a C chord. So this is a 1 chord going into a 4 chord. Now for our 5-7, we're going to do a little bit of a slide. This here up at the top is called the board of the piano. We're going to slide towards the board so that we can reach the F sharp with our pinky or our number 5 finger, okay? So we're here. We're going to slide in a little bit and put our 5 finger on the F sharp, 2 finger on C, and 1 finger on D. So let's practice moving from a G chord to a D chord. G chord, D7. G chord, D7. So once you can fluidly move from a G chord to a C chord to a D7 chord and back to a 1 chord. Then you're ready to start improvising. So now we have some kind of a pattern in our left hand. We're going to begin and end with a G chord in our left hand and begin and end with our right hand with a melody. When you first begin, I want you to start with just keeping your hands in a 5-finger pattern starting on G. So just stay here so your hands don't have to move everywhere just to begin while you get comfortable. All right, so here we go. Let's try a little melody with our left and our right hands playing at the same time. Here we go. Once you get comfortable with having your hands in a 5-finger pattern, then you can move them around so that it doesn't have to stay in that 5-finger pattern, but it's a good place to start. And remember, always start by playing the scale. Once you do that, it kind of teaches your hands how it should be moving when you're improvising. All major keys have a relative minor key. I like to call it a cousin. So if we start on G, we're going to go down 3 notes, no matter what those notes are, if they are black or white. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. We end up on an E. This time for our scale, if we start on E and we go to E and we keep the same key signature that we had before, which is our F sharp, skipping that F, it's going to have a darker tone to it, which is the minor scale. So let's hear what that sounds like, and I'm going to use just 1 finger to start out with our E minor scale. Here we go. Hear how that sounds just a little bit darker. So G major and E minor go together. So now this time, we're going to make a melody with our right hand in the key of E minor. And I'm going to remember every single time, skip the F, play an F sharp, and begin and end on E. Here we go. Let's try a little bit of a melody. So that is called the natural minor. A natural minor is when you take the major scale, which was the G scale, and we go down 3 and keep the exact same key signature. But now I'm going to show you what is called the harmonic minor. This one takes the 7th tone of the scale and it's going to raise it by a half step. So let's count to 7 in our E minor natural scale. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our 7th tone is a D, and instead of playing the D, we're going to raise it by a half step and make it a D sharp. Okay, so we're skipping the D, and we're also skipping the F for this minor scale. So let's try an E minor harmonic scale. This is doing the F sharp and the D sharp and skipping the F and the D. And I want you to hear how this sounds. The reason that's important is because now I'm going to show you the E minor chord progression in your left hand. So we start with an E minor chord. That's our 1 chord. This is going to feel exactly the same as a G major progression at first, where we do the 1 chord and then we do the 4 chord. But for the 5-7, we're going to do the same thing where we slide up towards the board of the piano this way so that our pinky can hit the D sharp and we have A and B. So going from the 1 to the 5-7, try that back and forth. That's where that D sharp has come from. So here's the whole progression. And now you're ready to improvise with your right hand. So here we go. We're going to start with our hand in a 5-finger position, just to make it easier at first, and try a little melody. Here we go. This is what the key of G major and E minor both look like on the staff. We have our grand staff with our treble clef and our bass clef, and we have an F sharp here in the treble clef, and we have an F sharp here in the bass clef. When you see this, you will know that it is either in the key of G major or in the key of E minor, depending on what the first note of the song is. If the first note and the last note of the song are a G or a G chord, chances are it is in the key of G. If the first and last notes of the song or chords of the song are E minor, chances are it is in the key of E minor. I hope you enjoyed learning the E minor natural scale and the harmonic scale, because it opens up a whole new world of being able to play and improvise in those two keys. So give them a try and see what you think.